Kids, this is how I met your space mother. Set between Episode 3 and Star Wars Rebels, A New Dawn by John Jackson Miller tells the story of the surviving Jedi turned aimless drifter, Kanan Jarrus, and how he met the Twi'lek rebel pilot, Harrison Dula, and how together they saved the moon Cinder from being blown up and mined by Count Vidian, along with Zaluna, an elderly Sarlastan security worker, and crazed demolitions expert Skelly, and how ultimately Kanan came to join the rebellion with Hera. Now let me just start by saying, this book was an absolute delight. All the components of the story, character, and themes worked in such perfect tandem with each other. Kanan was so beautifully expanded upon, taking us right into his mind and his outlook on the Empire, the Jedi, and whether or not to expose himself as a Jedi by following Hera into danger. And the most intriguing thing for me is his relationship with Caleb Dume. Caleb Dume is Kanan's name when he was still a Jedi. He changed it to better hide himself. Caleb, as a Jedi, is more expanded upon in the comic book series Kanan the Last Padawan, which Queen of the Randoms highly recommends. So yes, in his head, he still acknowledges Caleb Dume, and I was just like, that is just amazing. He represents himself as Kanan's Jedi and training part. And there are points when he's like, Caleb Dume would do such and such, but Kanan Jarrus would do something else, probably involved getting drunk. And for a while, the Caleb part of him is very much contained and subdued, and then he meets Hera, which I'll get to in a second, and we slowly see the inner Jedi emerge, but still kind of mix with Kanan. It's just... Speaking of Caleb, in the prologue we got to see Caleb as a youngling on a tour of the communications hub at the temple, where he actually gave Obi-Wan Kenobi the idea to use the Jedi recall system, which is, when they call Jedi back to the temple when the war's over, to actually warn Jedi away, which he did during Order 66. Just touches like that. Brilliant. Now, going back when I said earlier, Kanan is very different from the Kanan we see in Star Wars Rebels. He reminds me a lot of Han Solo. He's this drunken, inconstant, flighty person whose favorite hobbies are getting smashed, starting fights, and picking up women. Not to say that Kanan is completely well-adjusted in Rebels. I mean, how old is he? Kanan made the guess that Hera was about 18, so that would make him about 22. So, yeah, it's like, there's parts you just think that's just a young Kanan, there's parts going, who is this person? And it was just, looking at Kanan now, it's hilarious to think of the person he is in this book. He's got the charisma and tragedy, and it's still present in his mind, but I'll give you an example. Right, page 25. It was the one time he touched the brakes or trip, and it was instantly noticed. His comm system chirped, followed by a female voice, sounding none too happy. You there? What's your identifier? Who's asking? This is Captain Sloane of the Star Destroyer Ultimatum. I'm impressed, Kanan said, smoothing the black hairs on his pointed chin. What are you wearing? What? I'm just trying to get a picture. Hard to meet people out here. Okay, first of all, harassment never cool, but Jesus! So yeah, he goes through all this book with this kind of, I'm just a faithless person in the crowd, just me and my drink. And then he meets Hera. And before the actual scene, I kept wondering, what kind of impression did Hera leave to get Kanan to follow her all across the galaxy? And then I wandered back to Kanan and Hera's relationship now, which is, space parents. And the meeting, it just doesn't disappoint. It's like, I get chills thinking about it. You know the cliche love at first sight? It's like that, but a different take. Alright, so he's on the planet Gorse, whose moon is Cinder, and Gorse is in a permanent state of nighttime. He witnesses her talking to a Gain, and she's wearing a hooded cloak, and he can't see through and everything, and she asks him directions to the factory, and he just stops dead. He goes on for a while about how beautiful her voice is. Vanessa Marshall. Falling in love with someone's voice. That is one I have never seen before. So of course he doesn't answer with anything intelligible. He just kind of he's just kind of like, So she leaves him. He sees her again, and she just whips off her cloak and just kicks ass, and Kanan helps. And then they talk, and Kanan is still gobsmacked, and so she asks him she asks him, "Can you speak basic?" And Kanan, smooth as ever, just responds, "Words fail me." And she's like, "Yeah, alright." And she gives him her name, and they disappear. They run into each other again when Hera's getting info from Zeluna, and he kind of like sees her, and he tries to smooth talk again. But just a reminder that Hera is still such a badass. She just sends him to the bar all night to go buy them drinks. And a majority of the book is just Kanan, like a majority of their interaction, like a good chunk of it, is just Kanan flirting and she just going, nope. And the action really starts picking up. There's this epic chase scene when Kanan got to see some of Hera's epic flight skills. They find out that the mirror is going to get blown up, and there's Hera making awesome speeches about rebellion. We got a little peek at her background. Hera has seen some shit, like the Empire firebombing villages. I know that Hera's ultimate origin story is something not confirmed yet. I mean, she's from Ryloth, she's the daughter of the Free Ryloth General Chum Syndulla from Clone Wars, and I hope that Star Wars Rebels does delve into it. The villains are so cool as well. We have this Imperial efficiency expert, Count Vidian, who is very much functionality over practicality, and he is just ruthless. And there is Captain Sloane, and I just feel so bad for her. She has to put up with Vidian's shit, like, and she just wants to get her own ship. She just wants to become an admiral, and you're like, yeah, go girl. But I feel so bad for her, and she actually, I won't spoil it. He's so grotesque in his description. Basically, he's just this cyborg who with a modulated voice and enhanced hearing, enhanced eyesight. He basically has Google in his eyes. He can look up anything. He's like connected to all these systems, and he's just like, it's like Vader, but not so much Vader. It's like, there is like a sort of reminiscence to Vader almost, but this guy is very much perfectionist, a lot more of a perfectionist. Maybe it's, yeah. And he just, like, kills people who just get in his way. He killed the foreman at the factory, the Moonglow factory, which, you know, processes the Thorolide, which is the resource, and which Kanan works at. He works as a freight driver, and yeah. And he kills this character's wife by, like, throwing her in acid, and it's, like, so sad. And he's trying to, you know, he's doing what everyone's doing, and is trying to, like, suck up to the Empire, like, kiss his butt. So in conclusion, A New Dawn was amazing. I recommend it to all Star Wars fans, especially with Rebels picking up in October. It's just this jewel for anyone who loves the characters, as well as the action. It baffled me how well it was able to balance going from one moment of really pivotal political explanation and exposition to feeling like I'm reading a romantic comedy. It was, yeah, I just applauded. I hope, like, by the end of it, I was just thinking, I want more! Don't end it now! And of course it ends with Kanan hopping on board the Ghost and saying, let's go places. And I just keep thinking, no! I want to read more! Don't end! Because I hope they do more of Hera and Kanan adventures, because I really dig them. I think it would just be so cool to see what they did for a while. I like to see how their characters develop amongst each other, how their relationship develops. Yeah, maybe we could get, like, more books, more novels. John Jackson Miller should write another novel. Maybe they're going on a cool mission. I'd like to see that. Maybe a graphic novel. Yeah, we'll have to see. Thanks for watching.